Dubai is a hub also from the wellness point of view. In 5 years, we'll become the benchmark.
I'll turn on a tune and I'll start moving, any sort of movement. Like, I think, kind of we've all been echoing that.
I do need to ask, what is your go-to song for the dancing? Like, what's the one you crank up to 11?
Lately, I've been doing a little Cardi B. Okay.
Oh,
I know. You gotta
she's got a groove. Yeah.
Got a groove. So you gotta hit the beat.
I was just talking with Arnaud and I told him when I'm stressed, I like to go to my kitchen where I'm sure that no one is gonna be joining me.
We touch base in mental health is actually a great thing that it's, I think, now being normalized to a certain level, but it's so important, especially with the lifestyle that, we have in Dubai.
50 years ago, when you asked your grandma, did she sleep well? She wasn't checking her Oura ring.
Yeah.
She was just like, yeah, I had a good night's sleep. I feel rested. I feel great.
Welcome. My name is Jessica Michault. I'm the senior editor of Emirates Woman and Emirates Man. We're here today to talk about something everyone on the planet is dealing with, but I think feels especially timely here in the Middle East during this current climate of uncertainty. And that is how to lean into acts of wellness during moments of high stress and anxiety. In this region, we're watching conflicts unfold in real time and navigating new economic pressures. And well-being in general has gone from a lifestyle aspiration to a genuine act of resilience. But wellness is also a booming industry, as we all know, and the tension between commerce and genuine care is something that we're going to explore honestly today. We're going to talk about what's transforming our hotels, what's in our plates, our movement practices, and our minds. And we're going to ask, who is this really serving? And what does it take to build something that actually lasts? I have 4 extraordinary people here with me today to talk about the subject of well-being from very different angles, from hospitality, food and beverage, movement technology, and of course, mental well-being. But before we dive into all of these hot-button topics, I want each of you to introduce yourself. So Arnaud, why don't you kick things off?
Good afternoon, Jessica. Thank you for having us today. My name is Arnaud. I look after the consultancy of Fairmont and Accor with a focus on Fairmont Dubai, and then reinventing the food and beverage space and how we address our culinary offering as well as the health aspect, which we are going to discuss today.
Wonderful.
Hi, Jessica. So glad to see you here and be with everybody. I'm Dr. Neeta Bhushan. I am founder, serial entrepreneur of 4 bestselling books, as well as podcast host, speaker, and mental well-being expert.
Thank you for joining us.
Michele Moro, Managing Director of Technogym Emirates, and we support, I would say, any kind of needs related to regular physical exercise and, of course, promoting wellness to support the humankind to evolve in the right direction.
Thank you for having me, Jessica. Pleasure to be here with everyone. Madisse Matar. I look after the commercial department at Intercontinental Residences, Dubai Business Bay, and Kimpton 7, soon to open hotel.
Thank you all for joining me today. I'm going to dig right into something personal right from the jump. So when stress hits each of you personally, not your clients, not the brands that you represent, what's the first thing that you actually do to deal with that stress, to deal with that anxiety? So I'm going to go straight back to you.
Yeah, many things. First one, I was just talking with Arnaud and I told him I like to cook actually. And when I'm stressed, I like to go to my kitchen where I'm sure that no one is going to be joining me. So I have some time to clear my mind and at the same time maybe cook something for the family. The second thing that I would love to do usually, especially during this time, I go for a walk. I go for a walk without anyone, just by myself, even without music, no phone, nothing, just listening to my thoughts sometimes. And if a greenery is around, will be a perfect space. This is my real space to be by myself. Maybe the last thing that I do as well is at night, so I can have some free screen time. So without phone, without iPad, without anything, couple of hours before sleeping, so I can have a better sleep. Because usually, when we're anxious, we cannot sleep properly.
Very true. Well, those are all really great answers. Yeah. I don't know how the 3 of you are going to beat it, but Michele, what do you do?
I will go for a run. Absolutely. Obviously, if the weather allows outside in the nature, as you say, is definitely the ideal environment to reconnect with the nature. If instead it's is the weather or the condition are not allowing this option on a treadmill, maybe with some inclination challenging at speed to burn and to recharge the battery, release the stress, indeed, and also some strength training is also helping. It depends of which kind of level of stress and for which reason. And but typically, whatever I do, I end with a good session of stretching that obviously complete and put the muscles back to the right mode, but also combined with breathing and, as you say, reconnecting with our thoughts and to complete a cycle that is quite balanced and combine a different, rush, running, sprinting at the same time, the rhythm of a strength exercise that boost a bit also the muscles and but all connected with the mind because ultimately the famous say that we had from the Latin wisdom, mens sana in corpore sano, I think perfectly applies with a stressful situation. But in general, because afterwards also sleep will have a better quality. And I think this is probably the best way to manage the situation.
It sounds very healthy indeed. And I particularly like the shout out for the stretching, because most people forget that the stretching is such a critical part of the health practices and stuff.
That prepared for the next, because if whatever you do, if you don't complete or finish with a good stretching, you may build up some imbalance or some stiffness that then lead to some sort of injury. Or
very true. Very true.
This is very important. Balance is
balance in all things. Exactly.
Indeed.
Neeta, what about you?
Yeah. Well, as somebody that teaches this for a living, I think, you cannot do anything without your breath. If we are stressed out, I think, for me, the first thing that happens, and I do a lot of these emotional release practices, especially with my kids, because I have almost 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And so we'll do emotional release somatic practices, which were either dancing. So for me, I'll turn on a tune and I'll start moving, any sort of movement. Like I think, kind of we've all been echoing that. But the thing is it's a very simple thing that, anybody who's watching this can do this right now, is you put your hand over your heart and basically to really connect back to yourself and just take 3 deep breaths before responding to the email, before looking at your phone, before looking at anybody else, before yelling at your kids or saying or reprimanding or whatever. This is a reminder for me too. But that's literally how I go inward. And then, then I can go journal or maybe go walk outside if I need a minute, or even sometimes as an emotional release practice, I'll take my pillow, and I've been doing this a lot the last month that we've been kind of cocooned inside, and I'll scream into a pillow. And the thing is we have to release a lot of this pressure. A lot of times we have all of these emotions, but we suppress them. And so when we suppress them even more. And they have nowhere to go, but either to get released somehow. So perhaps cooking or working out.
Or a good scream.
Or a good scream. It's actually okay and normal. And so or laughing and giggling, because that too activates the vagus nerve, and that vagus nerve is responsible for calming our nervous system. And I think that, now that I have all of these different tools, it just makes it so much easier to come back to self. But it starts with, the 5 over the chest to calm myself down.
I do need to ask a follow-up. So what is your go-to song for the dancing? Like what's the one you crank up to 11?
Lately I've been doing a little Cardi B. Okay. You gotta get.
She's got a groove. Yeah.
She's got a groove. So you gotta hit the beat.
All right. I don't know. What is your go-to dance song? No, go ahead.
I will definitely try the pillow. No, I will. After 2 days, I will definitely try the pillow. But I think, like Michele mentioned, it depends, the level of stress. Okay. I think my go-to, it's really about, trying to find that peace of mind in myself. Okay. And try to maybe get rid of those toxic thoughts and, try to find a moment where I can not think, okay? Which is, not the easiest part. So what I tend to do is I go to Alcudra, I take my bicycle, I put my iPods on, and I go cycling 80, 120 kilometers, and I give that a good push. And while I do that, I tend to forget, whatever is stressing me. And that's my little moment where, I can, be by myself, for myself, and, doing that, exercise. Obviously, we talked about breathing a lot, and that helps me to kind of, relax. Something that I do at home on a weekly basis. We talked about breathing. I've got those little apps. Basically recreates the sound that I'm connecting with. So I double the app and I almost create like a Dolby sound. Where I have crackling fire on one side, and then on the other side I've got the thunder and the rain, and it kind of oscillates. And I'm trying to disconnect by actually putting we talk about the tongue. I put my tongue in the center of my mouth, so not touching the palate, not touching the bottom. Because while you do that, you avoid to think. It takes a little bit of concentration. And then I concentrate on breathing. So I'm doing some, breathing exercise. We touch base on Wim Hof. I don't go that far as bringing the ice, but, breathing exercise. And between my crackling fire and the rainy storm, I disconnect.
Tell me more.
Those were all brilliant suggestions. I've got a lot of new tools just after that first question. I'm really, really happy. Okay. So just digging in a little bit deeper about the wellness landscape that we have today, the industry, of course, is booming, but people, I would say, in the Middle East are experiencing some of the highest stress levels globally. Are we actually getting healthier, or are we just spending more time on this idea of being healthy? Michele, I wanted to talk to you because with your experience with so long with Technogym, what are you seeing? Are people in general getting healthier? Are we dealing with our stress better, or is this a lot of just marketing and gimmicking?
I would say yes. Definitely the environment is challenging, but I think that in general, the awareness on well-being is much, much more developed and evolved compared to a few years ago. And every year, we have more opportunity. Let's put it in this way. We have more opportunity than how individuals embracing it. This is a different matter, because as we just discussed earlier, everybody has their own his own or her own interpretation. But in general, as a community, we have an unbelievable options of technology, information. See also what is happening around us with all the initiative, the country initiative, the government initiative, the corporate initiative. We have an access to unbelievable and infinitive options and version. And this is the main thing. There is no one solution that fits most or all. And everybody has to find and discover the way that makes works for them. And as we say, and Arnaud mentioned, when I have the possibility to go for a ride, but when I'm at home, when I'm at work, there are different ways. So definitely, sometimes the availability of option may overwhelm all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably where is the sense of try to probably explore some. I don't believe that one solution is the way or is the solution. It depends on the season. It depends on how we feel. Where are we? If we are on holiday, or if we are in the weekend, or we are at work. But try to explore a few things to learn about how it works and applies to us. We need to definitely try technologies. Team up with people that they have on one side already experienced or expert, but at the same time, I think listening our body is the key, because it should be something that becomes part of our life and not something we need to force, because otherwise, is a not long run. It will bounce back. We need to find something that is enjoyable and keep, as I said earlier, the balance, because whatever we force we have a bounce back, and this is a bit ineffective.
Yeah. No, it's a very good point to do something that feels organic and intuitive, and what your body is telling you is working for you as an individual. I'm actually wanted to talk to you about how guests are what their guests that you're going to your hotels are asking for when it comes to what they're looking for in terms of circadian rhythms, or what they're looking for in their hotel rooms in terms of the health and wellness aspect of hotel space.
Definitely, Jessica. They're still looking for, nice product, good room, nice view, competitive prices maybe. So but on top of it, we do have residences. So we have guests staying with us for 1 year even. And when you're coming to stay on long term, you need a place that is going to give you the feeling of a home, but at the same time, pretty place as well. And what we do, we give them something that we call added value, some benefits. So they feel that they belong to this community, which we've started when we opened the hotel last year. We started with 6-month wellness program. The program had 3 aspects: mental wellness. So it's not only you go to gym, as Michele was saying. Definitely, we do have the best Technogym machines in the hotel. But you go for sessions. So one of the sessions on weekly basis was related to the mental health, as mentioned, can be meditation, can be sound healing. Another session was related to food aspects. So they will some experts will come and they will share with you the nutrition that is good for your own body as well. Whether you like to eat vegetables or you're more into meat, so they will help you what is the best for you. And the most important, of course, keep your body moving, whether with machines. We were doing ice bathing sometimes. So the people with us or the guests with us, they feel that they do have the options to look after their health, being healthy, and healthy with the real meaning of healthy. It's not just being healthy means I eat superfood or I eat some salads and this is the healthy thing. Mentally, they really need it. We focused as well on the community. So we've done many activities with organizations like Alzheimer, for example, the Autism Center, where they feel that they can participate and support and help the other people staying with us as colleagues and guests in the hotel. It's very important to feel and to support the community, not just I go to the gym and I come and sit and I'm done with my 1-hour workout for today. You've asked earlier, Michele, about the healthy, things that the people are now doing and if they're smart or not. We're definitely smarter or more savvy, but we need, I think, to go to the core of the word, not only for the commercial aspect of it, of being healthy.
No, and I love that idea about community, and then also accountability, like in terms of any kind of health strategy, having somebody that will motivate you to go to the gym or motivate you to eat well, to have somebody that you can lean on when you're having those moments. And the area that I do definitely struggle with is food. So Arnaud, I'm coming to you.
Yes.
Can food really be a starting point for someone who doesn't know where to begin or what that first step on like a health journey is? Because, that's definitely the area that I would say I struggle with the most. So talk to me about food.
I'd say 100%. You are what you eat, input, output. What you put into your body is actually your first medicine. So, of course, I'm a foodie. I'm passionate about product and quality and creating all those dishes. But, I truly believe that, when you create the right balanced diet, it really, helps you to, improve, your health on many levels. We talk about health, physical health with, exercising and, looking at, what you eat. Part of it, we touch base in mental health is actually a great thing that it's, I think, now being normalized to a certain level, but it's so important, especially with the lifestyle that, we have in Dubai, okay? From the outside world, Dubai is this, holiday place, sunshine and amazing hotel. But, we're all here grinding the work every day and it's a stressful place. I think going back to food, it's, where it all starts, okay? I've experienced it myself. And then this is something as well that we've implemented in the hotel. So we had the opportunity to reinvent, one of our operation. And with that, we incorporated, a farming aspect to the outlet. We built an hydroponic farm to grow all our greens. And we did touch base a little bit earlier on hydroponic. And I know that, if you look at greens that you would find in the current market, what happens is that within 24 to 48 hours, you lose all those nutrients. And they just disappear. Okay? So for us to kind of have the opportunity to take a space right at the heart of the hotel and have our own hydroponic farm where we basically grow all the greens that we use into the entire property. So not just for that restaurant, but the entire hotel. And we also offer this to the residents. But the beauty of it is that we are growing, we are harvesting every day. And the product, ends up on, our client's plate within 4 hours, max, and that, you retain all those nutrients. And the eating experience is quite unique, crispy, fresh, tasty, So that is something that, we've incorporated into the outlet. And the response from the clients has been amazing. There's not just the aspect of curiosity of, looking at the farm into the outlet, but there's also, how do we connect with the client and try to extend, that offering and trying to understand what is their needs and capture that and maybe, create a dish that is, fits their, dietary requirements. So yes, food is at the core of what we do and what we focus on.
Fundamental. Neeta, what is like the smallest daily action that actually compounds over time that we can do for our health and wellness, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back to what I originally started out with. I feel like everything starts with us and the breath, going back and being able to take a moment for ourselves, because we are so busy, we're so consumed with so many, things, so many tabs, so many events. And, the question that you asked before, are we, healthier here or not? I think two things can be true. I think, yes, everyone has, so much knowledge and awareness. And 20 years ago, a sound healing would be called woo-woo. And now you have like a plethora of sound healings everywhere across the city, across the country even. And, yet still, we still have our daily stressors. And the idea of, okay, I don't want to let this person down because I'm invited to, eating out 7 days in the week, but I also have to check in with myself. Is that actually good for my nervous system? Who am I going to let down because X, Y, and Z is going to be there, or I want to be there, or I want to, be out facing or front facing? And when do I have to come back and check in with myself to say, okay, I think that's enough. I'm going to pause before I actually say yes to the next thing. Because then what we're gearing into, the other coin of that, is we're sobered out. We're not going to get up at 8 a.m. and go to that yoga class. We're not going to eat well because our cortisol is going to be so running on, high that we're going to go for those carbs. And, just kind of our wellness journey will just go back down. So I think it starts with, checking in with yourself first. And that is so easy. And yes, we can kind of extrapolate it to, well, what does that actually mean? Does it mean meditation? Perhaps. Does it mean prayer? Perhaps. Does it mean, journaling? Likely. Whatever that means to you, but taking that moment, how does that actually work for me in the stage season of life that I'm in right now? Because there are going to be times where I am going to have to say no, and that's actually okay.
Giving yourself permission to say no. The power of no, it's a very, very strong thing. I want to go a little bit more into the technical side of things. So, of course, there's the growing movement between, Oura rings and Whoop and all of these different ways of tracking, where you're having this personal agency over all of your data, building our own routines, maybe not waiting for a doctor to give us a program to work with. Do you feel that this is an empowering new development in the health and wellness space, or is this can be overwhelming for people? So, Michele, I want to throw it back to you. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, for sure, as an important and powerful education component. Like everything, if you take in the right way and you go through a journey where you make yourself aware of different things, and you support with practice. Because at the end of the day, I see many people that they have all their data, but they just check the data. So fine. There is no the perfect recipe, but there are beautiful options, as I said earlier, where at least you acknowledge yourself. Who else? Previously nobody cared much about the sleep per se. If you wake up grumpy, maybe your sleep needs some support.
Tweaking, yeah.
Now, it gives a discipline that is very important, awareness and discipline. And I think this is the most important part. Try to understand what are the pillars that you need or your reference, your North Star to go through the journey. For instance, what we develop is a beautiful and very interactive solution called Technogym Checkup, where we measure 6 dimensions of wellness. Obviously, one is the typically body composition, where you may have all the, your weight or many other KPIs, but also from the strength and cardio that are the pillar of what we call longevity, because at the end of the day, the engine is our heart, right? And our muscles and skeleton are our frame. Balance and flexibility are also important, but also cognitive. And going through this very interactive way, we start educating our consumer, our people, the operator that they provide, like hotels that they provide the service to the consumer. And the analysis of these 6 dimensions give us the wellness age. Mm-hmm. So say, okay, based on your gender, your age bracket, your body composition, and so on, you start having like in a gamification. Okay, I'm X years younger than my anagrammatic age, Mm-hmm. And this is a way to engage and start helping people to think about, okay, I'm younger in strength, but my cardiovascular I'm older, so I need to catch up. And in this way, we give direction to people to get more information, because I think the powerful aspect of the technology is to share information, educate people so they build their own awareness and they engage in their own journey, because there is no anyone else than ourselves can, walk and run the wellness journey. Then obviously has different aspects, but these are the key where we can really get the people on board because if it's prescribed or induced or guided, the moment that push will be released, because everybody has to walk with their own legs, then we'll go back to square one or we'll stop. Instead, it has to be built day by day with awareness. And
that knowledge is such power. And then you have to decide what you're going to do with that knowledge. But already having that baseline of the knowledge about where your body is and what, I think it's such an important first step, let's say, into any kind of health and wellness journey.
And typically, the more you are into that, the more curious you become. Okay, I can engage and say, okay, I want to improve this. And then you learn, or you consult expert, or you see your own results. Maybe sometimes you see it's not working. Okay, I need to find something that it works better for me, because everybody is very different.
But yes. No. I was going to just add to your point. I think all of it is beautiful, but I think also at the same time, we can get really obsessed with all of those figures. Mm-hmm. But we can get really obsessed and, really anxious and even stressed out about, oh my gosh, my sleep score has been, the same. And I'm trying to do all of these things. What happened at like 2 a.m. last night? What was I doing? Mm-hmm. And then it can kind of embed in your psyche. So I think it also depends on the personality and the personality type. And also, all of this agency that now, yes, we have, because what I really love about, yes, we have the tech, but I really love the fact that you don't have to wait to get a blood test from a doctor. Like here, you can go on one of the apps and have somebody and they can come and take your blood. And now we actually know what markers, cause stress. And we have, of course, our ChatGPT and Claude tools to kind of analyze this from different, functionalities, whether it be TCM, regular medicine, functional medicine. So we have a lot of this data, but then, like you're saying, well, what are we going to do about it? Is that still going to evoke more stress? Are we doing more harm because we're obsessing over things? Instead of, I think I was reading something the other day where they're saying 40 years ago or 50 years ago, when you asked your grandma, did she sleep well? She wasn't checking her Oura ring. Yeah. She was just like, yeah, I had a good night's sleep. I feel rested. I feel great. And you're actually checking in with yourself. Now we're giving all of that to all of these devices that are giving us data, but how much of it is good and how much of it is, obviously tracked for whatever reasons, marketing reasons, data reasons, et cetera. And how much of it is actually, great for us and our families.
All things in moderation, as they say.
I think so.
Yeah. I do want to talk about the physical space. You touched on this a little bit earlier, but, when we're talking about designing a hotel, a room, a corridor, a lobby that's nudging somebody towards a better choice without forcing it, what is that frictionless architecture look like in practice? Like, how are you helping to push people into a more healthy and wellness mindset?
If you think about it, sometimes we go into a lobby of a hotel and we immediately feel like I feel better or I feel good, right? And this is not because of only the good vibes. It is because it's well designed. Some extra effort has been put in there. So instead of seeing lots of lifts, for example, you will see some stairs. You go to the lobby, you feel that it's bright. During the day, it is bright. And I want to see things. I want to be able to look and see things, not to really use, some other light to see it. So this is really good. You go to your room, for example, and you have a desk, but the light is so dimmed. So this is not well designed. You want to work, right? So you need the perfect lighting in there. Lighting is very important in the room. In your bedroom, for example, at our hotel, you go and you have definitely dimmed the light. So you will be able to increase it if you want. But if you want to sleep, you don't have to suffer for that. The ventilation in the room is very important as well. The air, how it's going, so you feel I'm able to breathe. We're talking a lot about breathing. Yeah. So the design of the room, from lighting, music is important as well. So you need light music. You don't go and you feel like I'm clubbing here.
That wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly. At night might work, but during the day, no. So the design from the furniture, when you sit at the furniture, they need to be comfy. The colors not extra vibrant. If it's a business space, you go to a restaurant, then the colors are different. So all these items and all these aspects together will make you feel as a guest that this is the right place where I feel good to be or to stay in.
And it's such a delicate balance of getting all of those nuances right. And then at the end of the day, it's you walk into the room and whether or not you feel good, but so much thought has gone into making each individual person feel good. And I know that bringing, nature as well into hotels and the greenery is also such a key.
Having the right plants in the room, because indoor plants are very different than the outdoor. So This is very important as well. The scent that you smell in hotels, in some hotels, it's overwhelming. So you go, I have migraine, for example. And I know some places in Dubai, I'm not able to visit to that extent. So imagine how strong the scent can be. We do have our own customized scent at the hotel, and it's very, very, you can smell it, but at the same time, you feel that it's nice.
That's interesting. Scent is such an important thing that we, in terms of wellness, that we don't touch on as much. I know we were talking about the importance of sleep, but I think scent is something to be explored as well in the future.
Jessica, for instance, we did the same for our.
There's a Technogym scent.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Only 4 years now, but to approach the environment, the interior, the experience, the color, we introduce a new collection called Sandstone with a completely different colors, because typically in the gym you see quite energetic and strong contrast colors, while for in continuation of what she was saying of the impact and natural, we developed the Sandstone collection that has a completely different mild, recalling the nature, the sand and the stone, with colors similar to this that give an impact to consumer that is very different and definitely more harmonic with hotels or clubs or residential gyms, where community, they are looking for a different impact, probably definitely less intimidating, and probably appealing those people that they need a bit different connection to embrace the physical part of the wellness journey.
That's a really clever addition. That's quite, because again, colorways can have such an impact. Arnaud, I do want to bring food back into it, because you mentioned about how you were actually, farm to table is literally within the hotel itself, and nutrition is so personal. So how do you support a guest's individual needs beyond, a one size fits all healthy, green juice menu without kind of blowing out the cost of like your kitchen's operational budget? Like, how do you make that balance of something healthy, but not everything for everyone? And then of course everybody has their intolerances. I mean, the list of intolerances seems to grow. How do you deal with those kind of challenges?
Well, the menu is actually the starting point. So we curate the menu with a healthy element to it. We highlight all the allergen, so typical 14 types of allergen classification, so that we clearly convey this message, with our client. But what we have done the last 6 months is really a different approach, where we're training our chef to interact with the client. So if you come to Pronto, for example, the chef will come, interact with you and wants to see, hey, what are you looking for today? Is there anything that, we could cook for you? So they introduce, the farm, which is right there. We have a juice bar and obviously, different specialty, which has curated for different experience. But again, it's about, looking at how we can customize, the experience and to touch directly, that person for that individual need. I think health in general is something very personal, in the sense that what works for me might not work for you, and so on. So, this is really an approach that has, changed the way we interact with our client, and we actually capture those preferences into our system. So once the client, return back, then, we're going to make sure that, this is recorded, it's into our system, and maybe we will bring an amenity into the room that's going to give them, that personalized experience. I feel, okay, I'm coming back home here. And again, it's not about taking, a client for granted, but it's about, really listening to, what makes that personal interaction.
Yeah, and those personal touches are so important. And then particularly, I mean, food is such a personal thing, and that you would, that's the connections you have with our moms or our family or cooking in the kitchen. And then to think that you're thinking about each individual person's preferences is going to touch, I think, very deep level for people who are visiting.
No, absolutely. Just to add to this, I think, maybe 30 years ago, a culinary menu design, beverage menu were looked at, in a different way. The clientele maybe was not so well traveled. It's not so well diverse. So it was maybe, very much localized, where today our clients come from all over the world. They have experienced so many different culture, so many different types of, beverage and food. And we try to, recreate that diversity with a component of our menu. So really looking at, there's an aspect is comfort food, an aspect which is, healthy, an aspect that is, feel good. But really that customization is where we really to touch people at heart. And again, it's something that really, truly makes a difference.
I know where I'm going to have my next meal.
I'm waiting for you.
Coming off of your point, actually, so 10 years ago, the wellness idea of wellness mostly meant, going to the gym and eating a good green salad, right? Today, we were talking about sleep, nervous system, the building of a community, spiritual practices, emotional process, all of those things. And of course, overarching this whole longevity science that is, kind of the buzzword of the moment, biometrics, gut health, yada, yada. How are we understanding what healthy means today? How has healthy changed? Like, what do we think perhaps we still haven't figured out in terms of health and wellness today? What would you think is still missing in the big mix of all things wellness?
Yeah, I think that, we've definitely come a long way from just thinking that going to the gym was healthy, and just eating a salad is healthy. I think that I'm personally obsessed about and geeking out about all things longevity, because I think for so many years there was just like that one track. And now, even when we talk about mental health, for the longest time, mental health meant, just the idea that, okay, you can get rid of your negative thoughts, but now it's a whole umbrella of, your emotional health. You cannot think your way out of your emotions. Mm-hmm. There's no way. You have to be able to feel them, acknowledge them. And so I think that we're at such a precipice right now of recognizing so many things at our fingertips. But I think there is that, as Arnaud was saying, the personalization piece, because one thing that has worked for you, perhaps maybe cycling when you were in your 20s, now maybe in your 50s, you can't for whatever reason, right? You might have children that need, X, Y, and Z. And so there's things at different seasons and stages of life. And I think to the point of being here in this beautiful, diverse place, such as Dubai, I feel like there's so many things that are attention grabbing for all of us to say, oh, yes, I'm going to optimize, my biomarkers, and I'm going to go run a 5K, and then I'm going to go get peptides because that's what they said. Mm-hmm. That's what they said. Mm-hmm. And I think we have so much, information. We have so many experts online, and, every other day there is something in a pop-up, but you have to, again, go back to, well, what's right for me in this season and stage? What do I need for myself? So I feel like there's that discernment that, okay, what's good for my partner may not be good for myself. Like my husband, he and I have very different philosophies of wellness. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the both of us, you'll say, oh, they're both in wellness, well-being, but we come from completely different backgrounds and have completely different thought processes. And that's actually okay. I might like Pilates and he might like something else, working out, strength training in the gym. But I feel like we have to give ourselves grace. And I think with all of these shiny new objects that keep coming, will keep coming, I feel like the discernment comes back, to you. And okay, what season and stage am I in? I mean, in so many of my businesses, we serve many women, but we always say it's the season and stage of life that you are in. Because are you in the season and stage of motherhood? Are you in the season and stage of business building and building your career? That's going to be completely different for what you need and optimizing, whether it's your hormones or whether or not you can go to a hot yoga class. Maybe you should just walk and enjoy the food that you're eating. Yeah. Because that's going to help you so much more than restriction and a keto diet and all of these things, right? At the end of the day, have we lost the point of, tuning in and checking in with yourself first?
Yeah, so no shade on anybody else's health journey. Everybody has their own journey, and it's different stages of that journey for sure.
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna do a little bit more of a spicy question now, and so wellness has become something of a luxury. Let's be honest, cards on the table. It's organic food, it's a premium gym membership, it's meditation apps, 5-star hotels with 5-star spas. Has the wellness industry accidentally excluded the people who perhaps need it the most? And if so, who is responsible? How can we fix that? How can we adjust that and make it possible to be more inclusive in that wellness journey? Or am I getting this all wrong? I'm going to throw it right back to you. How do you feel about this?
It is definitely, you're right, Jessica. So it is definitely commercially, we're going into the luxury side of the wellness. However, in Dubai, we say we have everything and anything for everyone, right? So I like to go and walk in the nature. So I don't have to go and pay lots of money, to do something as a workout. So it's up to us. I think everybody mentioned that it is personal. Yeah, definitely. If we want to go to a spa, you have the best spas. But if I want to go to a place where I enjoy just, being at the beach, I don't have to pay a lot, right? So you do have the luxury side. And at the same time, if you want to just focus on your body, your soul, yourself, you know what you like. So if I like swimming, I will go to the community pool and swim. I don't have to go every time to one of the branded beaches and I pay I don't know how much. When it comes to food, we were just discussing the organic, version. I think back home, we all have this organic space where you don't pay a lot as well, right? So the season, follow the season of the fruits, the season of the vegetables, and you can get anything with affordable prices, right? So I think it's up to us how we want to see it, how we want to perceive it, and how we want to present it. This is the most important. So we don't really focus on the commercial side. We need to really go to the people, to the inner of ourselves.
I would say that wellness is definitely the luxury product, but in the sense that health is wealth. In Italy, we say there is nothing most precious than our own health. Okay, but not, as you say, I agree with you, is not that is necessarily expensive or to buy, to access. It's the contrary, because from one side we have, and I think Dubai, UAE is a place where we have so many options available now, both in terms of infrastructure. When I came here, there were no cycling track, pedestrian, zero, because the urbanization of Dubai was done in a way, but in the last 15 years has changed completely. So we have access to parks, to cycling track, jogging tracks, and so on, and these are all for free. Then we have a variety of nutrition, let's say, options from 7-star hotel to food street that are really affordable and delicious with different, from different part of the world, because here we have where maybe in Europe they are not so available. And also in terms of treatment and experience, you can go really ultra luxury, but at the same time available. Ultimately, I think that also what is available on the web, we have a variety of tips that are available and they are for free. Then it depends on us how we embrace. And ultimately, going back a bit on the technology that sometimes is challenging and overwhelming, but at the same time, with the current technology, in all our area of expertise, people can have hyper-personalized solution that can maybe combine all of, nutrition, physical activity, breathing, or a bit more meditation, other way of, entertainment or hospitality in a very hyper-personalized for everybody. And this is something that the technology is quite available for everybody.
Yeah.
Creating something bespoke. Yeah.
Well, and I just want to add to it, never before have we been in a time where all of this information has been democratized, meaning that, you have tons of, from TikTok to Facebook to Instagram, tons of these accounts that are, if you want to do yoga, there's yoga classes online. And I think, it being in the COVID era, it showed us what was possible. You can take a breathwork class from somebody on YouTube for free. Same thing with a Zumba class or a yoga class or a breathwork or any of those things. Now you have ChatGPT that can actually act as your therapist. For people who, perhaps maybe don't have the access or the money, or maybe the personalized taboo that you have from culture to go see somebody, to talk to somebody. Now you could put everything in there. It can tell you your astrology, your, all from the gamut of how you're running your life. And it can see your patterns as well. And then it's telling you
in the nicest way possible, call you out on it.
Yeah. In the nicest, well, maybe chat won't do that. Maybe Claude is better at that.
Yeah.
Claude is better at that. But, I think now there's a plethora, and even, Claude, you can have it tell you Monday morning, okay, you got to make sure blocking your schedule for meditation, for breath work, all of these things. So we've never been more at a time where we actually have support for free.
Yeah.
It's just at our fingertips. And I think we have to utilize that. I think being here in Dubai, the number of times I see like a, free class, another pop-up here, et cetera, I feel like companies are doing so much more for that inclusivity, more than I've seen, just because I've, moved here just over a year ago from, the US. And I think they've done such a phenomenal job of having people at a lot of these different pop-ups, regardless of, where they are and what they can pay.
100% agree. It's been impressive how supportive the UAE in general has been for health and well-being of the people who live here and call the UAE home. So yes, go ahead.
I'd love to add something on that because the UAE is our home. Okay. I don't know if everybody is aware, but there's a couple of things which are running in the background with, Dubai government. And if you look at, Dubai municipality, every meal which is served into a school today is being screened by the authorities to ensure it is low sodium, low sugar, healthy carb, that, the fat content is, to the best nutritional level, and that there is a minimum of nutrients, which are available, and diversity for the meals that are consumed at school level. Okay? This is something that is running in the background that is, introducing health, at, a younger age for our kids, to go to school. And that's something that, is not, I think, often highlighted.
I think a lot of other countries could learn from that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So that's an initiative that I thought was interesting to touch base on.
Definitely deserves a shout, for sure. All right, you guys, one last question. So give me in a sentence or a couple of paragraphs. No, I'm joking. A sentence, not a couple of paragraphs. So in 5 years' time, what does the wellness landscape in the Middle East look like for you? What's that one thing that you hope will change or evolve, or the thing that we'll all be adopting as we look forward to the future of health and wellness in the Middle East? And I'm going to come back to you, Arnaud, and we'll go down the row again. What would you love to see being adopted, maybe, in schools?
Well, I'll step away from the school.
Sure.
I think that there's already a lot of initiatives that are on the right path when it comes to the UAE. And we talk about, securing food availability. And already if we look at, the position we are in today compared to 5-10 years ago, there's a lot of, farming that is taking place here. We're growing beautiful tomatoes, which are absolutely tasty and delicious. And that, a diversity of greens and herbs, which are being, introduced into the market we've seen the last couple of years. I think moving forward, we're only going to see that dynamic, to increase maybe, some different level of farming, to ensure that, there is a production which is localized. And with that, I guess it helps to reduce, the footprint and, help with sustainability, better quality product, which don't travel all the way across the world. I take the example of green apples. Usually they are stored with this PCM, gas that basically allows to keep, the apples for up to 1 year into a chiller. Mm-hmm. So 1 apple a day keeps the doctor away.
But maybe not those apples.
Not those ones, not those ones. So I think, the UAE is definitely moving in the right direction with putting all those initiatives forwards, looking at manufacturing much more locally.
Oh, that's hopeful. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I would say, this return to ritual And, I know that there's so many ways to optimize our time, optimize our health, all of these biomarkers, but also this idea that, all of these rituals that, come from our lineages. I mean, personally, the Ayurveda ritual from my dad's lineage that we see in kind of the spas, and that's just so mainstream in that traditional sense of wellness. But even in our kitchen, even in the way that we operate, to give ourselves permission to pause in our day, to have these kinds of rituals that we can then pass down. And maybe it isn't, maybe it's the OG biohacking that's always been there, but we've taken it for granted. Like the walking, like getting up and looking at the sun with the sunrise, and going to bed at a decent hour at 9 p.m. and eating dinner not past 7 p.m. All of these things that we've likely taken for granted, but now because we're optimizing our biometrics, I think it's slowly coming back. So I'm hopeful, and I'm excited that the UAE is going to be able to do that.
I love that. Michele, what about you?
I think that Dubai is already ahead of the game. Dubai is a hub also from the wellness point of view. In 5 years, will become the benchmark, I hope. And I think because there are the infrastructure, there is the leadership that are already have a clear vision of making Dubai a wellness hub. There are a lot of initiatives. There is still some works to do from the food or from the agricultural point of view, because obviously the territory is a bit challenging on this aspect. But I think that in 5 years, Dubai will be definitely the capital of wellness. If in certain aspects is already there, definitely the strong footprint in hospitality and in event is indicating that. But moving forward, I think with more from a legislation point of view, from the food aspect, will be at the top of the world.
Yeah, and I agree. And I would argue that in the medical space as well, in terms of health and wellness, that the medical field here, where you have people coming here to get treatments and things, because the standard here is at such a high level that you want to come here.
And I think what was mentioned earlier, the fact that there is such a diversity of culture and people and habits, also from the nutrition point of view, from the spiritual or other, will help to self generate opportunity for variety and contaminate each other way of background and culture to leverage more. For instance, the options that you have here in related to, for instance, yoga. That definitely a large community of, let's say, Western, where they're exposed to yoga, or the approach to yoga is a bit different, but definitely nurture the evolution of the journey in that aspect, or other from a different type of background and culture that are here and open to experience.
Yeah, I think the cross-pollination aspect of the UAE is such an exceptional aspect of this nation, just on the world stage. Close us out in style. What would you like to see?
I just want to emphasize on what you've said regarding the medical system in Dubai, because we receive guests that they come to Dubai for medical reasons, whether for surgery or to see a specific doctor in Dubai, because they do trust the medical system in here. And this is very important. And I'm talking about VIPs around the world. So I'm talking about presidential level. Yeah. So it's really good to see how they trust the medical system in Dubai. And of course, hospitality will benefit from this, because there is a medical tourism around the world, and people, they travel for, whether it's something related to the body or for even cosmetic, I would say, or plastic surgery. So many of these are happening in Dubai. I will definitely echo what everyone said. We are grateful and blessed to be in here. Lots of initiatives related to the food, to the wellness in general. What Personally, I would love to see in the next 5 years, not only in Dubai, actually in the world, the mental wellness, the mental health. So we see more focus, because I think we talk about it more than doing it, right? So we say that during the uncertainty or during stressful time, what do we do? But how businesses are supporting this, for example, how corporate is helping. Government definitely had lots of initiatives during this time. So you were able to work from home. You had the chance to have the online schooling, for example. I think the world needs to learn about this, and they help women in particular during specific timing and certain timing, so we can have better life, better wellness, and better health.
That's a great note to end this on. I really appreciate that. I want to thank all of you for being so open and honest with your answers and really sharing your knowledge and expertise. And I just want to, wish you long, healthy, happy lives going forward. And hopefully we'll be able to do this again soon. So thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.